Looking for the. Good evening, everybody. I'm David Lasoff. Welcome to the Safe Cafe. I'm here with Francis Brunelle. We have some, as usual with these hangouts, people are having difficulty with the technical things, and we'll see if others show up. Anyway, so Francis is here with me, and
Hi.
say hi, Francis. You're in Montreal, right?
No, I'm in Bromont. It's 1 hour from Montreal, but I'm moving to Montreal soon.
Ah, very good. So what's the name of the town?
Bromont. Bromont.
Brumont.
I
Brumont.
don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to
It's
live
a
in a town.
mountain.
I used to live in a town in Pennsylvania called Broomall. Broomall. Believe it or not.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. When I was a little kid, I got run over by a truck in Broomall. Didn't go over my head, just my leg. So I'm gonna hope that. Let's see. Let me see here. Okay. So maybe we'll see if Tim figures out how to get on here. Tim, Francis has used if you can hear this, if you're maybe signed on to the event. I don't know. Francis was able to do it. I don't know where Adrian is, and we're just going to go on. So anyway, tonight we're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to talk about some of the progress that's being made, and just anybody can just chime in and talk about what their concerns and questions are. We don't know who's going to show up, but there's if you're listening in and you want to just send in a question or a comment, it's okay to tell us. Just tell us who you are and what country you're living in, or what state if you're in the States. Any of those things are fine. We're not looking for a GPS location, as I tell everybody. Just basically where you're from. Francis, why don't people know who I am? Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and who you are and your relationship to MadeSafe and some of the activities that you are engaged in with MadeSafe and for the SAFE network.
Yeah. So I'm a web developer, and that's my job. But I'm also actively looking for ways to decentralize the internet. So that's how I found MadeSafe in April, and it took me a few months to really get into it more technical, but then I got the interest to start a pod in Montreal.
Why don't you explain what a SAFE Pod is for the viewers who may or may not know what that is?
Well, as I understand, it's people who meet regularly to talk about the core API. It's mainly for programmers on MadeSafe itself,
Mm-hmm.
and for builders who want to build application. So we
Right.
can help each other by meeting. And it's also soon at the Bitcoin Embassy where we meet. There's going to be a co-working space, so we can go there without planning and just work on our projects.
Wow. That's really cool.
Mm.
Wow, that's really neat. So about let's see. Hi, David. Can connect through the link. Yeah, I can see. Tim, my co-host, is has chimed in, but he's not coming on live for some reason. I don't know what's going on, Tim. Francis got in through that same link. I don't really know what's going on. I can't account for it. I don't have any other links to give you, other than the ones that I sent in the email and stuff. So we'll try to work it out in another hangout, or if you figure it out, We got an hour and a half, man. So don't give up.
Yeah.
Just keep trying, man. Keep
Try
trying.
another browser.
Try another browser. Try whatever. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe Francis, you got some clues for him. I don't know what to tell him.
Yeah, sometimes I have problem in Chrome, so I switched to Firefox, but now it's working today. But yeah.
Well, that's really bad when you can't use Chrome for a Google Hangout. I think that's pretty rough.
Well, yeah. But because I'm running bleeding edge versions, so you know Yosemite?
What's that?
Yeah, it's the new version of OS X.
Oh yeah.
So it's not supported by Chrome, so that's why it crashed.
Oh, I see.
But yeah.
I don't know, but
No.
Tim got on the last time.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to say. Tim, I miss you. Get in here, man. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to Dawn. Dawn also. She'll be the first woman to appear on the Safe Cafe as a guest. So Dawn, hook up another computer or something. Go grab one from your friend. So anyway, continue, Francis, with what you were telling us about your interest and how you got involved in MadeSafe.
Well, yeah. At first, I was reading the MadeSafe.net. It's a really good place. Then you can look at the GitHub too.
Sure.
But the best place, I think, at first there was activity on the mailing list, but I remember when David decided to do MadeSafe.org, and that's when I really got into it, because I think everybody who's interested in MadeSafe should start there and ask questions.
Sure.
So,
yeah, David Helmquist has done an amazing job with that. MadeSafe.org. For anybody who've not gone there, just go to MadeSafe.org and you'll see all the kinds of questions that come up on that forum. So it's a really great way to learn about MadeSafe. Also, MadeSafe.net. Now, MadeSafe.org is the community. It's not MadeSafe. MadeSafe.net is actually MadeSafe, the headquarters where the core development team meets in Troon, Scotland. So, go ahead.
Yeah, and then I saw the initiative from Paige Peterson to start a SAFE Pod in San Francisco. Because I was thinking of starting one, but there wasn't any started at. It was before she started her SAFE Pod.
Right.
But when she did, and after a few meetups, it gave me the gut to do it. And we were 5 at our first meetup, so it's not bad. We're doing a next one on August 10th, and we hope to be more than 10 people. So yeah.
That's great. So next Sunday, August the 10th, will be a combined SAFE Pod number 3. Now, just by coincidence, this is SAFE Cafe number 3, but don't confuse this with SAFE Pod number 3. SAFE Pod number 3 is the first SAFE Pod hangout where we're going to combine people from San Francisco and people from Montreal, and they're going to have, if you're interested, they're going to have a very enlightening and technical conversation with David Irvine, the CEO of MadeSafe, and Viv Rajkumar, who's done amazing work already with the network visualizer and lots of things. I was talking to Nick today about Viv, and Nick was going on about how great Viv is to have on the crew. But his next major challenge will be to finish up one of the most important milestones of testnet number 1, which is the API. So I know that a lot of people are chomping at the bit. Viv, if you can hear us, we want that API. I'm sure, right, Francis?
Yeah, that's why we're waiting to see the examples.
Mm-hmm.
I was really excited when I saw the first example, which lets you like bootstrap a local network testnet on your machine.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts 10 volts, but then it stops there. So I was waiting for the next example. Like this was 2 months ago, I think. But we're finally getting the next example on August 10th, which is going to be about authentication. So you can see how to create a new account and log into the network. And maybe I think we're going to be able to store files, but I'm not sure with a drive.
Yeah, well, Nick was trying to explain to me why they had to go backwards a little to make it
Yeah,
more perfect.
yeah,
That's why the
exactly.
examples were late. But he did a pretty good job explaining that to me. But I'm not going to try to do that right now
Sure.
because I'll mess it up. And but the bottom line is well, I mean a lot of things. But by the way, I see we got some more viewers online. If you're watching and you want to type in where you're viewing from, what country, what state or whatever, that would be cool. So we could say shout out to you and say hi. Um, yeah, I was talking to Nick today, and he was really excited about the progress that's been made in the last couple weeks. He thought he definitely think that they have really made some really excellent progress. Their heads are deep in the code. So he was happy with that, and there were like Nile, I understand, had a real breakthrough with the RUDP and other things, and David wrote a fantastic article that I think every developer should read. If you really want to get a flavor for the kind of man that David Irvine is, read what he just wrote in his own blog at metaquestions.me. That's at metaquestions.me, and he publishes that. And let's see, David Yamanaka from New Mexico. David's faithful. He's been here now all the way through with us, this Safe Cafe. We got a lot of Davids, don't we, David? We got David Yamanaka, David Lasoff, David Helmquist, David Irvine. I hope I'm not missing any Davids. Good to have you on, Dave. So continue, Francis. Tell us about what you guys have in mind. What are you guys going to do up there in Montreal?
Well, first, because we don't have a lot of developers at the moment, we want to do a conference specifically for the Bitcoin developers or the people around Montreal who could be interested. So we're working on that. I'm going to announce here for the first time it's the plan of the conference that I'm thinking of doing. So
wait a minute, this is history now, right? Right here on the Safe Cafe, we're going to hear an announcement for the content of this groundbreaking history-making conference that's going to take place in Montreal. Okay, I wanted to wait a second. Hold on a second. I have to do this. You have to put up with me because I promised everybody we'd have some fun, just a little bit, and I wasn't really ready for this. You're coming out with something that, I have to, just make a big deal about because it's not every day that we hear groundbreaking information. Okay.
So
just playing.
Also, the conference is probably going to be in November. I'm not sure at this point, but at first I said September, but it's too early.
Okay.
So the first presentation, there's going to be 5 presentations, each by different members of MadeSafe Montreal or other people from around the world. So the first presentation is going to explain why the internet is broken and why we need decentralization, why we need MadeSafe, privacy, security, and freedom. This is going to be a presentation more for general people. So each presentation is going to be divided in YouTube video, and they can be watched separately. And the second presentation is going to be more technical. It's going to assume knowledge of Bitcoin, and it's going to explain at a high-level view how MadeSafe works. It's going to show us like images to help understand.
Okay.
And the third presentation is going to talk about what kind of apps are possible on the MadeSafe platform. It's going to be targeted at developers who are interested to build apps.
Okay.
And it's going to say, for example, the kind of app we can build, communication apps, static website, dynamic websites. So you need to watch the presentation. And the fourth presentation is going to talk about the team who's working on MadeSafe. It's going to present the members and the history of MadeSafe since 2006. And David Irvine is probably going to go to the conference, so we're going to do a question and answer with him. It's going to be very interesting.
Wow, that's great.
And the fifth presentation is going to talk about when is MadeSafe going to be ready. It's going to be for the people who want to get involved, whether technically or just marketing, whatever. And it's going to say what are the best places to learn more about MadeSafe, how to get involved on the forum, the Safe Cafe, etc.
Right,
so
right. Good,
that's
good.
the plan.
Make sure you plug the Safe Cafe, Francis.
Yeah. And
no,
also,
yeah, I think it's really important that people really realize that when the Safe Network's going to be ready. Did you say? Don't lose your train of thought. Did you say on the second presentation you were going to contrast the way MadeSafe forked versus the blockchain? Is that what?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead. Continue.
Well, I want to ask you, do you think it's a good idea for the topics? Do you have suggestions?
Well, listeners, what do you think? I'm stoked just hearing Francis talk about those 5. I just want to ask you now. These are going to get recorded, and you're going to put these on YouTube, right?
Yeah, and they're going to be live too.
Live and on YouTube.
And edited afterwards too. I'm a video editor, so I can do that.
Good. Yeah, Francis, I got big plans for what this network. I'm like, I've written about this a little bit, about Imagineering, what would be possible if you had a network with unlimited storage and computing power. What would be possible? I actually personally believe that the future is that we can't even imagine how beautiful these web applications are going to be, because the whole question of, how speed and robustness and, just it's a developer's dream. I mean, if someone came to you and said, "Here's a supercomputer, go ahead and do what you want," I mean, come on, that's really what it is, and it's going to be an amazing thing. I think we already know, like the world we already know from the movies and the world of gaming and visual effects and computer graphics what is possible to do with very powerful computers. We can produce extraordinarily robust stuff. So whatever we think, it's like we're going to look back at what the internet was, and we're going to realize we've been driving around in a Model T. That's really the truth. So anyway, so I'm excited. I've got lots of cool projects I'd like to see developed, and even though I'm not a developer, I spend a lot of time telling people, get with me, run with me. I bet you Michael Bloomberg doesn't know how to code. So but I need amazing developers, and for some of the projects and some of the ideas that I've imagineered for this infinite network. And I've talked to David, not talked, he and I have only very briefly talked, but he wrote me something one time, and he said to me one night when he was up late, it's hard to explain infinity to people. So He has a definite vision about this thing. That David Yamanaka writes, we are talking about ant technology as a lead into how made safe works compared to blockchain technology. David, did you get? When I voted on what ant stood for, there were 5 saying the same thing, and I voted along with everybody else. So I think it's hands down that that's what it should be called. And I forget what it is now off the top of my head, but I bet you could write it in and I could say it over the air. Anyway, so yes, I saw Chris Foster did something about the T-shirt showing ants dropping things from the little Made Safe airplane. Was that a cool idea or what? Anyway, so
Yeah, we really want the T-shirts for the Made Safe Montreal pod, so we can wear them. That's I hope they're ready soon. Whoever's working on them.
Cool.
And,
yeah, I think that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just going through some of these questions now. There's viewers here, so got the Q&A up. If you want to tell us where you're from, let us know. Let's see. Massive problems connecting to Google Hangouts. Perfect example of centralized. Tim, right? Yeah, Tim. I guess you're having a massive problem with it tonight. But hey, I know you're with us, so all's forgiven. Don't sweat it. Just don't let it get to you. Just hang there with us, okay, bro? And, yeah, I mean, these days are coming to an end. One of these days, we don't know exactly when, but they are coming to an end. I love it. Massive problems. Yeah. Well, if I had a better on the safe network system for this, you better believe I'd be using it. So we're getting there. With I love these topics. These are great topics. I think they're wonderful. Because everybody wants to meet the team. David and everybody from Troon. Everybody wants to know who are these guys. So that's perfect. Apps, yeah. I think by the time you do this in November, Viv, get on it, man. Get that API done so we can know what we can do. So I think it's very important to articulate why the internet is broken. I couldn't agree with you more on these. And obviously, you're targeting your audience to developers, and they have to understand that because they're so used to things being the way they are. They don't know that it can be better than that. So,
well, and maybe because I'm targeting Bitcoin developers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they are aware, but they don't know what Made Safe is. So.
Okay, well, I think that's a good idea because I would imagine that trying to target people that had no background or interest in cryptocurrency, that's a big uptake for a lot of people. And I would say people who are already familiar with the blockchain might be a way to do that. But at the same time, there are challenges with that too, as you can imagine. People, they sink their teeth into something, and they don't want to let go, or they don't want to shift gears. So it's going to be a work of dedication, a work of the heart, a work of the mind to help people to, as I like to say on the Safe Cafe, get your head around our technology. And it's no doubt different. And I want to recommend that article that David wrote to all the developers out there that are listening. I'm not a developer, and I could understand it to I would say a large degree. So if you're a developer, I think it's essential that you read that.
Yeah, I need to reread it, but I did get a little bit out of it. It's very interesting.
So,
Um,
go ahead.
yeah,
You
I
still got
wanted to
more. You still got a lot to say, I'm sure.
uh, just to finish with the conference. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to say that soon I'm gonna post the Google slides on the MadeSafe.org forum, so anybody can comment them and uh, help me. So we're gonna do it all around the world. We're gonna work on the slides. Even if you don't live in Montreal, you can help us.
Great. I think that's wonderful. I really
Yeah,
do. That's the true spirit of open source. So
yeah.
I like that. That's great. Yeah, that MadeSafe.org is great. People have amazing ideas, and I read some of this stuff by very very talented developers that are writing on there, and it's eye opening for somebody like me. So I appreciate what David Helmquist has done with that.
Mm,
It's not a small thing. It's a really essential part of what goes on in the development of what I call the SAFE network, meaning the people, not as much the people who are the earliest adopters and the pioneers. They're all right there, and you can pick their brain and they can pick yours, because I can tell by talking to you, you got a good one too, Francis. I want to try something right now and see if this works while we're talking about progress. Now that we're broadcasting, I'm going to click on this, and Francis, you can tell me if viewers see this. Okay, you ready? This is the road map. And did that come up at all?
not for
That
me.
link? That link? Um, were viewers able to link to that at all? I'll try something else if that's not happening. Let me try this screen share. And here is the roadmap and
Ah, yeah.
testnet 1. And you can see how Ross Muir, our great developer there in Troon, who keeps up the roadmap now, how he's lined off just about everything except part of the RUDP performance improvement. The encrypted bootstrap process still needs to be handled. But the big item here, are you seeing my cursor do that, by the way?
No.
Okay, never mind then. The big undone item on testnet 1 is the client API, and understand that that's Viv Raj Kumar will be tackling that. So that's that, and I'll get out of that. I'll come back. And then there was another one I wanted to show. Where is it here? Hang on. SAFE Pod number 3. Hang on a second. See if that'll come up on the screen share again. Let's try it. Here it is. And here we go. SAFE Pod number 3. Whoop, let me get out of, hang on a second there. Whoop, get that out of there. Don't need that. Okay. Now we'll try it one more time. SAFE Pod number 3. And that will be Sunday, next Sunday, 10 August in Montreal time. What time is that? Do you know offhand?
Uh, 2 o'clock.
Okay, 2
It's
o'clock.
gonna be
So
2 p.m. Yeah.
that'll be mine says 10:30 in the evening where I'm at, so I'm thinking, oh, I see, it's 9 to 10:30. I'm sorry. So 7 o'clock, you guys in London who want to hang out, it'll be 7 o'clock in the evening. You guys in Troon, it'll be 7 o'clock in the evening. And 2 o'clock on the eastern seaboard there. Hang on here. Okay. Starting out, let others know you're okay. Cool. All right. So that, and I will come back now that I've done that. Get rid of that. Okay, so what else do you want to talk about, Francis? Do you have anything?
Yeah, I have a few things, but first I'd like to just go to the bathroom. I'll be
Okay.
back.
All right. I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so while he's doing that, I'll catch you up. I spoke with Nick today, and he's just really feeling pretty good. I could tell. They've made a lot of progress in the last couple weeks. They think that they're really coming around. And from my standpoint, it's been a real education the last couple of months. I was talking with Chadrick Mahaffey. Let me put the Q&A back up here, make sure that everybody's got it. Hang on. Okay. And we walked through a little bit on the dashboard. We were looking at all the tests that were completed and passed, and either on a continuous or a nightly basis. And basically, there's only a very small percentage of what would be called failed tests, and it was pretty impressive. So I think Nick's feeling pretty good these days. He was trying to tell me a few war stories back in the day, as where they were wondering whether things were gonna really, they were gonna able even to hold it open, pay people and stuff. This was well before the crowd sale, and he's feeling a lot better about where things are at. So let's see. David Yamanaka says, Tim, my advice would be get on MadeSafe.org and read as much as you can to learn about Project Safe. Create your own way of promoting the project music themes. We will have shirts out soon once Testnet 3 is ready. Yeah, and the other thing is, Tim asks the question over and over when he's talking to musicians and promoters at a festival, what can we do to get involved right now? Well, I think people like us need to learn and understand what it is that we're looking at, so we can communicate to other people. Most important thing we can do right now, I feel, especially non-technical people, because non-technical people can't code. But you ask the question, how can I own the SAFE network right now? How can I make it mine? What can I do? Well, one of the things you can do is learn and learn, and so that you can talk to people about why this network is what the benefits of it are in terms of freedom, privacy, and security, general ideas, and then be able to communicate in simple terms the idea of having a network pay an application for SafeCoin with SafeCoin. For example, Tim, we've talked about Network 99. I haven't told you about Studio 99 yet. It's a real epiphany for me, and how it goes hand in hand with Network 99 when you think about the idea of a media repository, place where artists can voluntarily upload anything that they've created, a copy of, by the way, and as users access that art, that music, that film, whatever, for free. It doesn't cost them anything to listen to some music or download it or watch a movie or watch a TV show or listen to a live broadcast of musicians. But the network pays the application, SafeCoin, and as you distribute that through to the artists, the reason why we're calling that concept Network 99, if the application keeps 1% and gives the artist 99%, that's a pretty good deal. That's kind of my vision for that. And you think about Studio 99, well, that's a whole other thing I'm going to be writing an article about. We'll talk about that in another Safe Cafe, but it's basically the idea of a place of creation for art, a place where, instead of renting studios and things like that. I mean, I've really, stepped into Imagineering the future, and that's another thing. Tim and any other artists who are listening tonight, you've got a creative mind, and nothing gets done without the idea of it first. And it takes a great idea, and then the question of how to bring that idea into fruition comes into it. But you have to imagine it first, or invent it in your mind before you can invent it in the world. And we were touching on it earlier, and the idea is that we don't know what it's like to have access to an infinite resource, and we're going to learn, because people can say, well, it's just another internet. I don't think so. I think it's not just another internet. I think it's an amazing thing to think about, linking. Listen, I have very modest goals. I think it would be amazing if we could link 250 million machines together, because that's like 25% of what Facebook subscribers are today. That's not a big goal. 250 million machines. But what would it be like to have 2 billion machines linked together? I mean, it boggles the mind to even think about it, but we know it's way more powerful than the world's. It leaves supercomputers in the dust. When we think about the cyber brain of the free, autonomous, encrypted, distributed, decentralized, serverless, safe network. I don't know. You want to chime in on this, Francis? Because you're the technical guy.
Well, I would just wanted to ask you, like, what got you interested into the Made Safe in the first place? Like, were you looking for something like Made Safe, or you saw it and then I don't know?
Yeah, that's a great question. And for me, you have to step back away from the technology to understand why I got excited about the technology. I'm 55 years old, and I can remember what it was like to be free. I can remember what it was like when I had privacy. I can remember what it was like where where governments and third parties were incapable of getting into my business unless I voluntarily chose to involve another person in my business. The concept that I want to be private, and if I want to share my life with you, I want to have control over whether or not I do that and to what degree I'm going to share my business with you. And today, especially in things like finances, there's no expectation of privacy because there is none. It doesn't exist. The governments who have all the guns and all the authoritarian power decided a long time ago that they were going to control people, and people got co-opted into that in a terrible way. It's true, computers destroyed everybody's privacy, and it's equally as true that through the SAFE network and the technology of Made Safe, computers will again restore the possibility of privacy, the possibility of security in our financial and personal affairs, and the possibility of freedom that goes with that. Now, for me, what really my whole life I've been looking for the missing ingredient is that, well, how would you transition from an authoritarian world to a free world without, you know, another false start. And that's what revolutions are. Revolutions are replacing one set of authoritarians with another set of authoritarians. That's all it's ever been. They're bloody. People get hurt. And in the end, you know, we just get some other system of control where somebody with guns has a monopoly on police power over other people. And, you know, we don't end up with a better system. We end up, well, that could be argued that maybe sometimes we do, but we still end up with a system where people are not free, where people are not autonomous, where people are not able to think for themselves because these guys are spending so much time conditioning people to think along authoritarian ways. Everybody can relate to an idea. I don't want you telling me what to do. They're like that's like a universal. Like people can relate to that. I don't want you, Francis, telling me what to do and how to live. But how many people stop and reverse that around where they think it's not okay for me to tell you what to do either. You know, I don't want you telling me what to do, but it's not okay for me to tell you what to do. And what we need is an enlightened way of what I call self-governance, and I've always felt this way. Something flat, something not hierarchical, something heterarchical, something where smart and intelligent people would develop a way to self-govern ourselves. And I think that the SAFE network is that transition into that world. I really believe that. So I got interested in it from a philosophical standpoint. I realized that you couldn't deconstruct something, you couldn't disrupt something without giving people what I call the opt-out, opt-in option, which is the idea of if you're going to opt out of an authoritarian regime, you need to be able to give people a different option so they can feed themselves. They can work, and they can work, and these kinds of things. And I see the future of the possibility of what the SAFE network is that means when you think about the rise and development of the safe coin economy, I see great things for that. I see a completely alternate economy. I see the ability for people to buy and sell in safe coin. And I see that if Bitcoin, Francis, if Bitcoin is valuable in an insecure blockchain technology, public ledger, same old crappy internet situation, it doesn't, you know, I say this a lot, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that safe coin is going to become a pretty valuable thing one day. That's that was my excitement, was to see that David Irvine was not merely in you know, I don't want to listen, I don't idolize David Irvine. I know he puts his pants on just like you and me, and he doesn't like attention, and I'm not going to be the guy who's going to turn him into a cult hero because he wouldn't appreciate it. But he's the kind of guy who's not only brilliant technologically, he's got a brilliant mind when it comes to what I would call the futurist mind, a guy who can look into the future, imagineer that in the present. And that's what he's doing today. He's imagineering the future today. He looked at the internet the way it was and said, I can do better than this. I'm going to create something that's going to help me be free, help me have a privacy and security, and he made those his values around the development of his project. And so he's a great technologist, he's a great futurist, but he's also philosophically the kind of man who understands, as we're starting to call it, ant technology. Ants know how to live. Ants know how to self-aggregate in a healthy way without some central authoritarian figure telling them what to do, and they know how to live. And if we will develop, people are people, Francis. We all got good in us. We all got bad in us. We're talented in some areas. We're not smart in other areas. We didn't get invented in a way, or we weren't created in a way where we were gods. We're just little puny men. And I can do some things good. I can't do other things good. You can do some things good. You can't do other things that are good. But when you put everybody together in a naturalistic system where everybody is like looking out for number one, but also they're looking out for number one so they can take care of number two and three and four. And so it's not an either or situation where I don't have to, it's not false altruism where, I'm going to become a selfless saint and that's how I'm going to change the world. No, I can change the world, and I am changing the world by just being who I am, by promoting what I see to be a naturalistic way for us to transition from the authoritarian world. For example, you may have heard me write on or seen me write on what I call the 99% revolution. Well, it's the idea of a bloodless, violent, peaceful, effective, and unstoppable revolution because we adopt this technology that exists actually. It's not a dream. It's the reality. Once the SAFE network exists, you opt out of authoritarian regimes and opt into a flat, free, private, and autonomous network. And at first, it's not that powerful. At first, it's empty infinity, not many applications. At first, it's here and now. We're pioneering it. Our grandchildren will look back on what we did, and dude, they're going to erect statues to Francis Brunelle in Montreal one day. I don't mean to, blow your head up. I'm just telling you, it's like, you're doing something that will change the world. You guys who are developers on this network, you guys, all of you we owe a great debt of gratitude to what you guys are doing because it will give people options that never existed before. And you combine the technology with human beings as they really are, who think differently than one another, and the beauty of autonomy and self-aggregating naturalistic systems is you don't have to get everybody to agree on anything. You can, in fact, a wise crowd is developed when there's a diversity of opinion, when there is diversity in character, there's diversity in this and that and the other thing. So we are benefited by people who are different from us in a flat world. David Yamanaka continues, once testnet 3 is ready, create a vault and help us test out the system. So he's talking about there should be an easy exe file you just download and install so we can get people involved with testnet 3. So he's bringing up a really excellent point. You don't have to be a developer to get involved in testnet 3. Go out and tell everybody you know, drag out that old desktop, dust it off, go down and buy another terabyte or two, plug it into a USB port if you want to. You don't have to do that. A lot of people have a lot of good ideas. I honestly believe that old desktops might be a way to go for a lot of people because they got a big fan motor and they can stay on all the time. You don't have to invest a lot of money. I'm not saying that if the operating systems are really ancient, I forget what I'm saying, but you could go out today and probably buy a nice desktop for less than $1,000 and dedicate it to farming for SafeCoin and lending the network that memory and computing power. It's just an idea, but everybody should be involved in testnet 3 is what I hear David saying, if I read what he's saying correctly. And you don't have to be a developer for that. What do you have to say, Francis? Well, I have 7 viewers now. The only person I know, only 2 of those 7. Wait, maybe we're included in that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's at least 3 that we don't know where they're chiming in from. They haven't told us yet, but that's okay. I've talked about the roadmap and talked about where we are. We've made a lot of progress with that, and we've talked about how things are generally going. I'm excited because even though I'm not a technologist, I am involved in building projects. Even if all I do as what I call just a regular old guy who's a made safe evangelist. And by the way, anybody can be one. You don't have to do what I do. I'm just saying, you go when you're having coffee and you're talking to people, talk about it. Tell people, hey, you know about Made Safe yet? What? What's Made Safe? Do you heard of SafeCoin? Was that another one of those altcoins like Potcoin or Murray Coin or or Doggy Coin or whatever? I'm not finding fault with it. I'm just saying, anybody can learn the difference between blockchain technology and safe network technology, or Made Safe technology, or SafeCoin technology. It doesn't take a lot to learn the difference between what is proof of work versus proof of resource. Now, I grant you that in the blockchain there are some coins that use something called proof of stake, which is more economical, in my opinion, than proof of work. And there are hybrids too. They're using partially that and partially the other, and whatnot. But SafeCoin is the only altcoin that uses, to my understanding, best of my knowledge, that uses a proof of resource as a proofing methodology, where we identify the coin and it becomes a coin. Now, it doesn't establish value. Value is established by marketplaces. What a Bitcoin is worth today depends on what the market says the Bitcoin is worth. What $1 is worth today depends on that. What gold is worth depends on what the market says. But it establishes the existence of a particular safe coin called proof of resource. Now, it's economical. Anybody can farm for SafeCoin. You don't have to go out and buy a big, fat, expensive ASIC mining rig. You don't have to spend a lot of money. And it's more like husbanding, I call it. We're taking care of. Well, what are you taking care of? You're taking care of shreds of data that you can't identify. But it's the truth, to understand what you're taking care of. You're taking care of stuff that you don't even know what it is on your computer, and you have no ability to get to it. It doesn't allow for that. So, you just know that if I hook my machine up to this, I'm gonna be part of the network. I'm going to lend strength and power to it, and it's going to benefit me personally by doing that. If you do involve yourself in Made Safe, if you do involve yourself with what this is about, I think start with self-interest. Start with understanding about getting yourself free, getting your privacy free, getting your security back, and learn. Know that a safe coin is unlike any other coin, and be able to tell people it's like cash, except there's no serial numbers, so it's less traceable than even a dollar bill or a British pound note. Now, we're going to get accused of a lot of stuff because of that fact. Freedom lovers people that care about freedom, people that care about liberty, people that care about privacy, that actually believe that nobody has the right to own their person, that they are the sovereign who gets to decide the rules that I'll obey. I get to decide that. Now, if somebody sticks a gun to my head, that changes the whole equation. But if I can do something to get away from the gun, I'm going to do it. And I'm not asking the guy with the gun for permission. So I don't have conversations with people whose brains are infected by the virus of authoritarianism. Well, I do have conversations with them, but I don't have conversations with them. Well, what if this is not legal? What if it? Well, who says? Who gets to say that? You know, I think what we're doing is fomenting a revolution. I think what we're doing is subversive, and people might not like that, but people might say, "Hey, David, could you tone it down a little bit?" But that's why I'm an independent MaidSafe evangelist, and that's why I don't work for MaidSafe, because I can say what I want to say. I don't have to. I'm not earning a penny doing this from MaidSafe. Now I hope to earn money doing being involved with the projects on the SAFE network that I'm involved in, and if there's a way for me to monetize my activities in any capacity, I'm all for that. But what I'm trying to say is I don't get paid by MaidSafe to promote MaidSafe. I do it for my own self-interest, and as a byproduct, I think the revolution that I think will take place naturalistically, the nonviolent, the effective and peaceful, unstoppable revolution that this technology will foment all by itself without a leader. David Lasoff, David Irvine are not going to lead revolutions. The revolution will be a naturalistic ant-technology revolution of people just reclaiming their privacy and getting themselves free. And that was my interest in all of it from the beginning. Of course, the technology I find to be very, very fascinating. Okay. Let's see. Tim says centralized servers are old world, 20th century technology. Proof, if needed, is 2014, and I can't connect to a server 54 minutes and counting. This is George Orwell's 1984 nightmare in reality. This is why the SAFE network will succeed, while the other options are about status control. Statist, S-T-A-T-I-S-T, right? And Tim is actually right on. The statists, those who believe in the power of the state over man, those who believe that nation states and authoritarian surrogates of nation states, or let's put it this way, if you ask me, the nation state is the pawn for the real powers of the world, the corporations that the multinationals and things like that. We get into all big discussions about conspiracy. I don't want to get into those discussions, but the authoritarians would like to control things, and they are doing a pretty robust job of it. But when you stop feeding dinosaurs, they die. And the SAFE network is about establishing a new order, which is to say that people can govern themselves. We don't need authoritarians. We can transact our business between each other as civilized men, and we can do what's in our own self-interest to do, and do it harmlessly as a natural consequence of what it means to be in a healthy naturalistic system. And so that's what we know from nature, is that when you're in a healthy naturalistic system, you can it has a way of self-correcting, self-healing. Somebody comes along and makes mistakes, it has a way of helping that person to, uh, self-correct, rather than, bonking them over the head or sticking them in jail or shooting them, or taking advantage of him and exploiting him in unnatural ways. So that's another thing we can do, Tim, is we can study natural systems. You're the one the other day who was talking to me about this a lot. You're the one who was mentioning, by the way, Tim sent me a great, and we I'm pretty sure we resent that. You should send that video link to me again, and I'll put it on my YouTube channel. He sent me this great video about this guy about the beehives. Tim sent me a great video. My co-host that can't get on tonight because he's having a technology meltdown on the old internet. He sent me a great video about beehives and how they function and what bees do, how they make decisions, how the crowd makes a wise decision, and that applies to what we're doing. Chadrick Mahaffey turned me on to something called open value networks. I think that everybody should be studying, Tim. We should be studying what is an open value network, which is a self-governance system, a way to people to self-aggregate together and create order that they want to create and create things that they want to do, and a way for them to be compensated for the value they create or add. It's an amazing idea. It works. I'm sure of it. It already works in the real world in a limited way. It's going to thrive on the SAFE network. So we're looking forward to open value, learning more and more, and talking about open value networks. And as we develop our ideas around open value networks and the tools and the templates, and it's one of the things that we want to do with Build It Hub that Chadrick's working on, is develop the tools and the templates of how people can get together and create their own open value networks, which I describe as a nodal network. That's a network within a network, and how people can create their own wise crowds where they can make good decisions together and promote the rise and development of the safe coin economy, the rise and development of the SAFE network. It's an amazing undiscovered universe of innovation, freedom, and these sorts of things. What's your thinking on this, Francis?
On what? On open value networks?
Yeah, or just any of the stuff that we're talking about, that I've been rambling on about now for a little bit.
Well, do you have a specific question?
Yeah, I do. What's the name of your dog?
It's not my dog, but its name is my sister. It's Charlie.
Charlie. Okay, it's not yours. It's your sister's dog. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's see what we got here. Hang on. I want to make sure I got everybody's questions that we've talked about so far. Okay. And there. That's that. Okay. So Tim, I'm hoping that by next time we're going to have this all worked out, and you and Dawn can be on. And I'm really interested in having Dawn on because she's I think she's how I got in connection with you. I might have that backwards, but I don't think so. Anyway, she's a pretty interesting person who also loves freedom and is very concerned about education as is David Irvine. So Dawn and David are kindred spirits. Um, so things are humming along. Now's the time for us to really get an education. Now's the time for us to share what we learn with one another and talk to our friends, just giving them the awareness of what the SAFE network is and and or what it can be, and uh, and what SafeCoin is. It's just what we all can be doing now. I like to write, so I write a blog. I like to tell everybody what's going on. And so if you have an application that you're working on and you want to talk about it and tell the world what your idea is, share it here. And I wanted to ask you, Francis, what are some of the first couple ideas that you have, or some of your friends in Montreal have, about first projects? Have you been thinking about the kinds of things that you want to be working on at first?
Applications or not necessary?
It can be applications or anything else that I realize that there's some how should I say, some overlap with core development, obviously, but
Yeah.
help us get our head around what are some of the things that you're thinking of doing first besides the conference.
Yeah, I have a list I've written of applications I want to make, but it's too early at this point because the API is not ready.
Sure.
But the first thing we're gonna do, me and my friend Jacob, who's hanging out, he's on madesafe.org recently, active, and we want to do a Firefox extension, a bridge between the SAFE network and the World Wide Web. So we're starting by doing the Firefox extension, and we're probably gonna do it for Chrome and Safari too. And maybe we're gonna do a MadeSafe browser. We don't know, but the goal in the near term is just a Firefox extension. So that way we can host static websites on the SAFE network that use HTML, CSS, and other web technologies. I'm also looking forward to the examples in the roadmap, the secure and private replacement for Dropbox, Google Drive, that where we can do file syncing, private shares with our friends, and public shares. And it's these public shares that we can use for the website. I'm also looking forward to the communication application, so we can have a replacement for messaging, email, and a real-time chat, and we can send files directly to in the chat. Then the thing I'd like to do is dynamic websites, but I think that's going to be later because it's another part of it's not yet in the design. But an app I'd like to do, like what got me interested into MadeSafe in the first place is like a way to do something better than BitTorrent. So I'd like to do a website better than, for example, the shirt I'm wearing. I don't know if you know.
Well, try to stand up, or what is it, kick-ass torrent?
Yeah, I like to do a website better than that, where you can have like all the content, movies, music, TV shows, ebooks, audiobooks, and also but by streaming. So it's like Popcorn Time or YouTube, and it Pirate Bay. And it's also good for replacing SoundCloud. So that's my killer application. That's the
okay. So you should do that, because that's exactly what I thought about when I came up with Network 99. And there's no reason to compete at this stage. So do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And the thing I like about the SAFE network is that you access it anonymously. Because the problem right now with BitTorrent is that you get like things in the mail to pay and threats, but with the Safe network that wouldn't be a problem. But so I'm also evaluating other networks, but right now the Safe network is really good. And after that, I'd like to see a replacement for Skype and Google Hangouts.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, you got it, man.
but that comes after the file sharing application for me. And then I'd like to see a application like Facebook and Twitter. I would build it myself if it's not too complex. But yeah, that's really important. But in the short term, I'm also looking at other projects which take a different approach to the Safe network. For example, the one I like the most is called Tent. And instead of having a peer-to-peer network, you have everyone hosting his own server. So in that way, it's a little bit like email. And so, for example, when I send a post on the network, for example, a tweet, each of my my server talks with each of the server of my followers and send the post. So it's very good for private data. But the problem I find with that, it's for public data, like it's less good because it can easily be taken down. While for legal data, it's not a problem, but for copyright things. But that's also very interesting. For people who are interested in the Safe network, I suggest looking at the Tent too. It's going to be ready soon, probably the same timeline. And it's tent.io. Also,
Wow, that's really awesome.
yeah, these are my two communities, MadeSafe and Tent. Number 7, I'd like to see a decentralized version of GitHub, but that can come later. But in the short term, we can use something like GitLab to self-host on our server. I'd also like to see a version decentralized of Reddit, but in the short term, we can use Discourse like we do on madesafe.org, or we can even use a program that's really nice. It's called Aether, like I don't know what's Aether. So it's like Reddit, but it's
Aether.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's like Reddit, but it's anonymous, and
Oh, cool.
it's very and if some people want to go on it to talk about MadeSafe, I've created a board on MadeSafe, and you can put your pseudonym to anonymous, or so we can have a different conversation from madesafe.org.
Oh, cool.
It's
Well,
and just to finish fast, I'd like to see
yeah,
also
sure. Take your
Wikipedia.
time. What's that?
Wikipedia,
Yeah.
like in the long term,
Yeah.
and I'd also like to see a marketplace like eBay. But in the short term, I'm looking at the project called Open Bazaar,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is gonna be ready like for the end of the year and usable, so that's good.
That's
And yeah, so that's it. What do you
yeah.
think?
Wow. That's really like music to my ears to hear you talk about that. I can, if I can help you promote anything that you're doing,
Hmm.
make sure that you come back and talk about it in more detail, or
Yeah,
get a
sure.
hold of me. And you know, every project that's really a good project uh, should be, people should be talking about it, and that's most important, so that other people find out about it. I asked. Oh, that brings me to a interesting part of the conversation I had with Nick today, was that people are starting to ask about, how do we identify static web page locations or any other kind of addressing system on the SAFE network, and I haven't really had very good answers for them. And Nick basically came out and said to me today that it's not really uh, um, decided exactly. And another thing is that there. Have you thought about this? What kind of a, or have you been following any kind of conversations about this? What what do we need in terms of some way to search the SAFE network to find what's on the SAFE network to use in terms of a search engine, that kind of a thing?
Hmm. Well, as I understand, to do in the current state, you can do queries like searching, filtering, or sorting, but this is going to be a different part, like a different phase, where they're going to have computation or so. I don't think it's going to be possible at first. Like, so that's why I'm also looking at projects like Tent, because the problem is that the data is encrypted, so you can't query it. But on something like Tent, it's not encrypted on the server, but the server is hosted by you, so you can do all the queries you want. So I'm also not sure it's going to be possible in the near term, so it's not going to work for some kinds of applications.
Mm-hmm.
But and also, did you talk about the URL?
Well, we didn't. I didn't really
The
bring up. I didn't really bring that up because I didn't imagine. I didn't imagine that there would be something. I mean, there'd be a parallel to that idea, but I didn't call it a URL.
Because you said the public share, is that what you meant?
I meant that basically, let's say people elected to, of their own free will and choice, to make what they're doing public, and they wanted other people to be able to find that site. That there had to be some mechanism developed that was my way. Again, I'm not a technologist, so my way of thinking about it was something like a search engine. And I'm gonna, while you're answering that question, I'm gonna look through these questions to see if maybe somebody's mentioning something like that.
I think if you have the ID of the public share, you can access it directly. But you can also use a search engine, but it's going to be managed on a server, so it's going to be possible. It's just it's not going to be decentralized.
Right.
So yeah.
Tim writes, your projects are mind-blowing, and so have at it, and again, keep us in the loop. Tell us what you're doing, and let us know about it. Let's see. Tim says very excited about what Francis projects can mean to other creatives, and he's saying he wants, as a creative, to be involved in user acceptance testing of what you're doing. So hear that. He's got lots of people that he would be able to turn on to, because he's a creative guy and he knows lots of people that way. I'm sure you do too, but let him know about that when that day comes. Are you seeing the questions too?
Yeah, question.
Good. So I'm thinking, all of those things sound really, really, really good. Yeah. So, a distributed, autonomous, encrypted network doesn't mean that there will be, that people won't want to be found and people won't want to find people. That's not reasonable. People will want to find things on this robust network, and people will want to be found by others because that's just natural. That's what it means to be in a community, is you say, hello, how you doing? I'm fine, how are you? Oh, who are you? What do you do? Those are normal things. And so those are all very exciting things. So so the idea of like a right off the bat of something like a web browser probably doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to your way of thinking at this point right now, right?
Why not?
Well, how can you browse something that's encrypted? That's what I thought you were
No,
trying
no.
to say.
Yeah, you can browse it because you can have the URL and you can have link to other pages, but you can't like do certain queries like search the network. You can index it and put it on a centralized server, but there are certain things that you cannot do in a decentralized way at first. I read that David wants to add that, but in a later phase.
I see.
But yeah,
Tim says, Francis, I have so much to talk to you about, especially Network 99. The future is free. The future is
yeah, like
okay. I call it the safe network. Careful with that, Tim. I ought to bring it up again. There's this corporation in America that's been around about 25 years. It's a multi-billion-dollar corporation. It's called SafeNet. And I notice that people throw around that acronym around here, and maybe it's a pet peeve of mine, but they've been around for a long, long time, and we're not affiliated with them. So that's why I use the word safe network, because it distinguishes us from that corporation that's been around for a long, long time. So, Tim, get with Francis about Network 99 and talk to him about what he's doing, because great minds think alike. Which brings me to an important idea, and I want to share with you this idea because it's an idea that is, I think, a sort of a, how should I say, axiomatic to the values of privacy, security, and freedom. Even in the real world as it exists today, ideas are not copyrightable. Ideas are not patentable. Ideas belong to the commonwealth of man. And it doesn't surprise me to listen to you talk about your idea for a media-rich, a media application where people are doing all kinds of things with music and film and that kind of stuff. Because I started thinking about it, and what I'm trying to say is that in and on the safe network, this infinite place, there is plenty of room for similar or same ideas, and may the best applications, plural, win. We have lots of different car manufacturers in the world, and we have different computer manufacturers, different all kinds of things. On the safe network, the idea that you're going to try to protect your idea is, I want to say, it's a little bit ridiculous. The safe network will help to kill the closed systems of intellectual property, and will promote open systems. And because the network is so brilliantly designed to pay the network itself algorithmically, autonomously, right? Algorithmically and autonomously pay according to how killer the application really is. If the application is not so killer, it'll earn a little bit of SafeCoin probably. If it's a killer app, it's probably going to earn a lot of SafeCoin from the network, which is why we don't need to charge people to use our applications. We want people to use them for free, because the more they use them for free, the more SafeCoin our applications will make. It's a beautiful system. And what gives SafeCoin its value is the same idea of the free market, in a truly free market. When you have a ubiquitous and robust safe network, and you have a safe coin that works in that environment for buying and selling, the value of that coin will be quite valuable. And it will be up to the market to decide what that is. And there will be markets that develop for SafeCoin. There'll be markets that develop for how to trade SafeCoin into other currencies off of the Safe network. All of these technologies need to be developed. So it's an amazing time to be alive. What were you going to say, Francis?
Yeah, it's just the part about automatically paying SafeCoin to app developers.
Mm-hmm.
It's my only red flag about MadeSafe at the moment, because I really have to see how it works in practice. That's why I'm even going to see them in September in Troon, because I want to talk about that part and also other things. But I'm not sure it's depending how it's made. I'm not sure it's gonna be good. I think people can voluntarily pay the apps that they want with donations or crowdfunding, but if it's made automatically by the network, because the problem is that it does two things at the same time. You do a GET request to get the data, but you also pay the developer. But really, the person maybe just wants to do the GET request. Like, I think it should be two separate things, or else, like, let's say you give a signal to the developer to give money, but really you don't want to. I'd like to talk more about that. It's just something I'm not sure at this point.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're going to go to True and talk to David about it.
Yeah,
Make sure you let us know about those conversations. Come on back.
I want to talk also to people in the Safe network about that. I've talked to Chadrick about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you think. Like, I need to give some example, but in certain cases, I think it's not like, for example, if I do my app about with all the content.
Yes.
It's a streaming app, so people stream movies, so that means they're gonna make a lot of GET requests compared to another app. That's I don't know, a to-do list, but maybe the to-do list is like made really well and requires more resource, and my app is just made not so well, but there's the content and it makes a lot of GET requests. But people don't really want; they just want to get the content. So I think it should just the safe point should be just to get the content, and if you want to pay the developer, like you can do a crowdfunding or a donation or other models. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a deal breaker either. It's not gonna, like, maybe in the long term it's gonna be really bad, but it's just something to talk about more. We don't talk about it a lot more on the forum. I'm maybe going to start a thread soon. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think that we're going to find out in the upcoming test nets. I can tell you.
Yeah,
I can tell you
sure.
if I can tell you. Yeah, I can tell you for sure. And I'm going on. This is YouTube public record. This is anybody can watch it after it's over. I'm going to tell you my opinion is that made safe as a non-profit organization under Scottish law, puts out its own information that I've studied, and that group has represented a certain outcome at the end of these test nets, which is to say that, and you can just read it, anybody can go on madesafe.net, not madesafe.org, madesafe.net. Anyone can read any number of official MadeSafe publications and find out what MadeSafe is representing in terms of the capability of SafeCoin and the capability of the SAFE network to autonomously, algorithmically pay out SafeCoin to applications. Now, I heard you, and I heard your concern. I heard that there has to be some. If I heard you right, there would have to be some kind of incentive in the sense to, I guess, would you say it would like this? Would it to prevent a developer from building an app that would inefficiently
No,
inflate GET requests? Is that what I heard you?
no,
No?
no. It's just I don't think there's a link between like the number of GET requests and the the funding for the app necessarily. It's I just think it could be two separate things, and people give donation if they want to see the app more.
I mean, I again, I hear you keep talking about donations, but I don't see anything that MadeSafe publishes that suggests that that mechanism by human beings is what David Irvine had in mind. My understanding of what he represents on the official documentation is that this network will autonomously pay out SafeCoin. Will, not that this is a debatable issue. And so where I was going in this, and this is going to be a bit controversial for some, but I believe that it is a deal breaker if that doesn't happen, because there's a genius behind it, and the genius is that no humans are involved. And they've gone on and on and on about the serverless, autonomous network. If the applications aren't earning SafeCoin from the network, how is that? Whether or not you think it's good or not so good, I mean, to me, that is exactly what they've represented it's going to do.
Well, for me, it was more that you get paid for as a farmer. But do you think if app developers are not paid automatically by the network, there's not going to be incentive to do apps?
Well, I didn't say that there wouldn't be incentives to do apps. I'm just saying to you that the incentive for offering services for free to users of applications, and the idea that, for example, artists, for example, or musicians or filmmakers can not worry anymore about sharing their art in an environment where people are free to use it, download it, view it, stream it, do whatever they want with it. But the reason why that exists is because of the genius of the network, of the autonomous network, that there is a way to not involve humans in the payment of the application by the user, that the application gets paid by the network in SafeCoin based on.
But that's not really defined. Yeah, that's the point.
No, go ahead. That you said what?
No, I just like it's gonna be paid automatically by the network, but at this point it's not clear based on what factors. So that's why I'm skeptical.
But, yeah, and I think it's okay to be skeptical. I think it's good to be skeptical. I'm just representing. You said it's not a deal breaker, and I want to understand why it's not, because I say it is.
Because I think the network is still gonna work, and I'm not sure it's gonna be enough of a problem so that people are gonna fork the network and do the same thing without automatically paying to developer. But it could get to that point eventually, I think. But at this point, I just need to understand more exactly how this part is going to work. That's why I'm going to Troon to talk about that. But yeah.
My understanding is that some of it, maybe even a lot of it, isn't all worked out, but it will be worked out by the end of testnet 3 before the launch of the beta. In fact, if you look at the roadmap, it looks that way to me. I know it's not very elaborate, but it looks like that's where it happens. And my guess is, it's just a guess. My guess is that there's more worked out than is maybe, let's say, pushed merged code. Should I say it that way? Does that make sense? What I'm saying is that yeah, there has to be the technology in the code has to be there, but you know, it's not to say that at this stage it doesn't, you know, the technology isn't, it may not be all ironed out, but if it doesn't exist at all, it's a wholesale misrepresentation as far as I'm concerned, and I would be interested in listening to David Irvine tell me why it's not.
Okay, but I think it's just like in principle, I feel like the automatically paying the ad developer, it reminds me a little of royalties, because it happens like every time you want to do a GET request, but you just want to do a GET request, but there's a payment, and they say they even want to extend it maybe to movies and other files, not just apps. So that's why I'm not sure it's a good idea for that. But it's not. I'd like to talk if someone wants to have a hangout.
Yeah, I think keep on it, because it's an important question, and we need to understand how this is going to work. But my understanding is that the network pays. I'm just reading the stuff. You know, I'm not making it up. I'm representing my understanding of what I read. So it's either a fact that it's going to be like that, or it's just, you know, a fantasy. And so which one is it, you know? I don't think it's a fantasy. I don't really.
No, it's probably going to be like that. It's probably going to be like that, but I just saying it's probably a bad thing too.
Okay, well, now I know. Hey, that's good. We had a really great discussion, and what I'm trying to say is that it's good to, you know, it's good to, how should I say? It's good that you feel like you can tell me or tell anybody that you think something isn't the way it's supposed to be. When you go to Troon and you have those discussions, I want you back here and tell me what went on. Okay, will you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, listen, we're out of time. We're actually 10 minutes over. We were having such a good time, people. We ran 10 minutes over. I want to thank Francis for being here tonight. Francis, I'm going to plug you again. Next Sunday, we're going to have the SAFE Pod combination, Montreal and San Francisco, broadcasting together. Plus, David Irvine and Viv Raj Kumar are going to be on there together. You know, Francis, it may be premature, and you may not want to bring it up during that, but that you just really piqued my interest with this whole contrary point of view. So I want to thank you for that. The Safe Cafe tonight had a interesting conversation with a little bit of controversy. So I hope David and Nick actually listen to this after the fact and address your concern openly, because we are an open source environment, and we are edified when a controversy comes and we sort that out and move on and then perfect our what we're up to. I want to thank you a lot, Francis, for being here tonight. And Tim, thank you for being with us. Let me see what else he wrote. Okay, and I'll tell you what, Tim. I'm going to try. Don't hang up your computer or nothing after this is over. I'm going to try to call you on a different hangout and see what we can do, just so you and I can talk. Okay, Francis, don't go away. I'm going to stop the broadcast here in a second, and I'll say goodbye to you in a second. Okay, so from the Startup Nation Israel, this is David Lasoff for the Safe Cafe with our guest Francis Brunelle from near Montreal. What's the name of the town?
Bromont.
Bromont. And we'll catch you for Safe Network number 4 pretty soon. I'll let you know. I'll keep you informed. I'll be tweeting it and posting it. So, but make sure you tune in next Sunday to the SAFE Pod Montreal and San Francisco live with David Irvine and Viv Rajkumar from Troon, Scotland will be in on that. And from Israel, I say thanks for being here tonight. We'll see you next Safe Cafe. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, stay here for a second there.